Hello and welcome to a very special something different. For the past year, I have been going through a number of videos talking about what I like and don't like about the newer elements in Games Workshop's 40K setting, and especially focusing on why I dislike the Primaris so much. And recently there was a video by Northern Exile talking about has 40K Warhammer lost its edge, and that's how I'm going to word it. And he talked about the kind of conversation he had between him and his friend. And I'd been going through some of this for a while. I'd known a lot of people who had played it, a lot of people who were very heavily invested in it. I mean, I had only got back around the time of the burning of Prospero back into the game. And the question effectively is, has Warhammer lost its way? And I'm going to try to break it down in a fairly concise manner, so I'll try to keep my rambling to a minimum. So if you will, keep with me until the end. First, you have the art. And I would say that the art has, in a lot of ways, shifted. It's gone from kind of a punk aesthetic, kind of a dangerous feel, to a more refined presentation. Yes, it's desaturated. There's a lot of spiky things and elements like that. But I would say that it's also become fairly clean and, dare I say, safe in a lot of cases, especially when it involves the Space Marines. I don't think the Primaris have done much for the setting in terms of their appearance. They just lack that little bit of something that the older types of Space Marines have, and that's not to dig into that. But the art has definitely shifted, and I would say that it has lost a lot of that punch, that grab you by the nose hairs kind of look to it, and it's become a very refined, very particular style of its own. And for me, a lot of the newer art just doesn't do it. It's too clean. It just doesn't cross into those aesthetics that I value. Plus, I do not like a lot of the newer elements that have been introduced. I don't like the Gathering Storm. I don't like a lot of the elements that they have tried to push since that. I just don't think the setting has been made better by a lot of those. But the other element is the story. For a lot of people, you have the look of things, the type of story, and in essence, the story for Warhammer has been that of the twilight days of the Roman Empire. After all, the Mark VI is designed to look somewhat like the lower leg plate, the greave armor of a Roman centurion. And he's even got the little sandaled feet, the little lines on the feet section. And over time, we have really moved away from it. And I've heard the muling over and over and over. Oh, it needs to progress, it needs to do this. No, it doesn't. It only needs to do that if you are removing people telling their own stories. Taking away that personal touch in the universe itself, that buy-in from the audience, and replacing it with something manufactured and handed to you. Now, that might be good for tournament players and people who they don't really want to be involved in that. They just wanted to have something that's already made for them. That's probably okay for those people. But for a lot of the people like me and who got in fairly early, it's obnoxious. It's irritating. It's annoying to constantly have them trying to shove named characters down your throat. I even hate it in the Horse Heresy. I know there's a lot of cool characters in it. A lot of people love those characters, but I absolutely despise it. Within modern 40K, I just pretty much hate the Gathering Storm and everything that's come after it. It's nonsensical. It goes against the concepts and conceits of the setting, and it throws it all out so that it can be easier to shove a endless slew of Space Marines down your throat when really they should have been focusing on revamping more lines and getting people to be interested in those other lines other than just beating people over the head with Space Marine, Space Marine, Space Marine. Help me, Space Marine bro, I'm fallen. That kind of thing. And then lastly, we really have the models. I don't think there's anyone that can say that the models today are not better detailed, not better crafted in a way than when, well, 3rd edition, 4th edition, 5th edition, and earlier came out. But I would dare say this, in counter to that, they lack any soul. They are CAD design monstrosities that remove the personal touch of an individual who came up with it. That doesn't mean they can't be cool. I think a lot of them are cool. But there's just this constant removal of what was, and it's being replaced with a kind of mechanical element, a depersonalization of the setting, the universe, and even the miniatures. That little bit of charm that you get from a miniature that didn't have perfect proportions because an actual human being had to sculpt it. Now, that didn't mean that there weren't some fantastic sculptors, just that it's something lost in a way. And that's why I think we see Old Hammer holding so much of a charm for so many people. But all of these things add into the issue, as I said. Has Warhammer lost its soul? Yes, it has. It's run by people who aren't interested in the creative process or the setting. They're there because it's their job. And that does happen, and this is a normal transformation for a lot of properties over time. Look at Walt Disney, who, oddly enough, Games Workshop is trailing along very, very closely to in terms of business practice and the way they treat their customers. Not to mention the IP whoring, but that's a different story. And to answer the question that Northern put out, it's really this. It has lost its soul, and it hasn't exchanged it for cool models, a better story, or anything. It has cashed it all out, not for Call of Duty bros, but for people who want to put the least amount of investment of themselves into this hobby, into the stories, into the models, and want something pre-done, pre-rendered, and regurgitated at them. They don't want what was Warhammer in the past. And to go further, no. I had never once wanted any of my hobbies to become popular with people who were disinterested with them. I always welcomed people to come in and join them who were genuinely interested and wanted to take part in them. I was never one of those people who foolishly thought by inviting people who didn't care that it would somehow make some kind of renaissance for a hobby. That's a fool's errand and something that stupid people do at least once. And I mean that not in a mean way. I mean it in, we are all stupid when we're young and we all wish something stupid. But that was never one of my fool's errands. I had a whole bunch of other ones that I can talk about later. So I never wanted this hobby to be taken over by tournament players and people who casually disregard it because it is the thing that happens to be popular, so they're taking part in it, but Lord forbid don't ask them to actually know or care in any way. And yeah, it's not punk rock anymore, but most punk rock bands aren't. And that's just how it goes. Things change, times change, and unfortunately, so do we. So, yes, it's not got the edge it used to. It doesn't have the bite it used to. And it's becoming spit polished and soulless, much like the Primaris and much like every release of the new Primarchs. they're soulless husks that are imitations of something that was great, and that they are simply just taking the clothes of and wearing around. So, hopefully that little diatribe was at least entertaining for people, or at least helped explain my side of things. So, have a fantastic day and be good. Bye bye.